Hi everyone, this is Mr. Foster here, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the fantasy final draft of the fantasy story. Currently, right now, all students should have turned that first draft in to me by now. Mr. Holowitz is currently correcting that, and will have written feedback for every student by Friday this week. And so by Friday, they should be able to take that home and do some work on it and write up a final draft that should be typed, and it's going to be due on Wednesday next week. If you look at my homework section of my website here, you'll see that that's what we need on there. Next thing you should know, though, is that I also have a rubric so you can see how this is scored. So take a look at the rubric and you'll understand exactly what I'm looking for. It's all broken down by the 6 traits, and it's also broken down by different fantasy elements. But just so you're clear on this, and students, if you're listening to this, I want to remind you of a couple of things as you write this final draft. First of all, you need to have a antagonist and a protagonist. And if you recall, we talked about your protagonist is the good guy or the good girl, and they have to have hopes, dreams, desires. You have to really develop those characters so we have a sense of what they want and what they're about. You have to have a protagonist that has the opposite wants, dreams, desires, and so on, so that that's where your conflict comes into your fantasy story, that those two are in direct conflict of what they want with each other. And that would ultimately, of course, set up your problem of your story. You need to have rising action in your story. So not only do you have a problem, but you need to have at least 2 rising action events that add tension to your story. So you have one problem, and then the next thing you know, the problem becomes even greater because there's another issue. Then, oh my goodness, there's an even bigger problem with another rising action event. That has to be in the story. You remember, if you recall, you also need to have a climax of the story where it's the most exciting piece of the story, and it has to have some sort of a magical solution to the story. And then finally, you have to have, of course, resolution. So if you think about resolution where everything kind of goes back to normal, lessons are learned, there's a theme there that your audience can identify. So generally speaking, that's the direction you need to go. So make sure that that's tight. And that you have all these elements in there. Be careful and make sure you look at everything that Mr. Holowitz wants you to do as far as his feedback, but also make sure you look at the rubric as you write this thing out and as you put this together so you can get a great score. If you have any questions, as always, just email me. I'll be happy to answer any questions and help you through the process. Thanks.